Now, my job here this morning is to facilitate the program through the opening ceremony into the first segment, to the completion of the first segment of the conference. And I was told multiple times, it has been impressed upon me very strongly that time. So I am going to be just ushering things along very quickly now. Now, in acknowledgement of our panel, well, not our panel, but our guests, our very distinguished guests here on the stage with us this morning for the opening ceremony, I'm going to briefly introduce everyone in the order in which I will ask them to come and bring their remarks, and then when each person ends, the other one can just come right up to just have a nice smooth flow. All right, so Ms. V welcomed them very ably, so I'll just go to Ms. Andrene Collings from the ministry, or parent ministry, the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, and she's the new head of the MSME unit at the ministry. I'm going to just invite her to come first, and then we're going to move on to the boss man of the CMI, Caribbean Maritime Institute, Dr. Fitz. Pardon me, newly appointed, accredited university. That's right. Professor, no, oh my goodness. Professor Fitz Pinnock. And then we will go to our representative from the Prime Minister's office, Minister without portfolio, Dr. Horace Chang, to come and bring greetings from the PM. So, Ms. Collings, please welcome her with a little picture.
Good morning, everyone. I am very impressed. 260 persons seeking employee engagement. This is great. This is really good. Members, Minister Chang, Dr. Pinnock, Dr. Horace, Ms. V, Boss Lady, and our moderator. I have some notes here. I'm representing the minister who could not be here. He's very much awake, but he can't be in two places at one time, and he asked me to apologize on his behalf. Now, I have notes, but my habit when I'm speaking for the minister is to call the minister and say, Minister, what is it that you want me to convey to this gathering on your behalf? I am your voice for a minute, 2 minutes. Let me know what are the key takeaways. So he says, Andrene, what I want you to do, what I want you to say to this group, this august group, is that I consider engagement to start with proper training. That it is imperative that we engage our employees in the beginning and we invest in vocational training so that people clearly understand their role and their function in an organization. It is through training that we empower our employees and we are able to get their engagement. He also asked me to convey that he considers this to be a key role of the JBDC and that they're doing a great job in the MSME sector. And with that, I will just add my own note that I think that over the years, at the end of the day, employees are the ones that deliver. They deliver on productivity, they deliver on profits. And if we do not invest, we invest in machines, we service machines, we take our machines seriously. Our employees are our greatest asset. It's a cliche, but it is true. So we have to find a way to engage because at the end of the day, it is people and relationships that matter, and engagement is a priority. So with these few words, those are the remarks from the minister.
Honourable Minister, Lady V, my friend, distinguished friends on the platform, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Looking at your topic, I was asked just to bring a short challenge. And I want to go deep this morning. So I'm going to start with a quotation that I've used some time ago, but it's very deep. It says, "The reasonable man adapts himself to the world, The unreasonable man adapts the world to himself or herself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. Ladies and gentlemen, let me see the hands of all the unreasonable people in the audience. Well, thanks to my unreasonable friends, Lady V and Sir Harold, for inviting me to address you this morning. In order to stimulate, inspire, empower, engage, we need strong leadership. And this is one of our greatest challenges in our nation, that of leadership. Today, in a fast-paced global economy, we need not just transformational leadership, but we need unreasonable, disruptive leadership in order to engage and to stimulate. Disruptive leadership is like beauty. It's hard to define, but you know it when you see it. I invite you to follow me on a very quick journey as we reflect on some lessons on disruptive leadership from inside out, but I share from my own experience what I've learned. Can I have your permission, as I said, to go deep? You do not expect this at this hour of the morning. If you're looking for leadership, you don't always have to look to the front to find it. Great leadership does not start on the stage. It does not start out as governors, mayors, presidents, CEOs, or managers. Great leadership starts out in the back. If you're in the church, it starts in the pews. Right, Sister Holiness? Praise the Lord.
Amen. Hallelujah.
In business, it starts out in the janitorial booth. It starts out with menial things. When you begin to grapple with leadership and life begins to move you along careers and opportunities, it is possible for life to lead you faster than your mind is prepared to handle. Life can move you in such a place where positionally you're in a state of leadership, but mentally and emotionally you haven't gotten a grip on what life has handed you. And if you don't know what you have, you don't know how to take care of it. The truth is, leaders come from ordinary places and deal with ordinary issues. Firstly, when you're saying to yourself that you want to be a great leader, you want to go the extra mile, and you want to do what needs to be done, you're asking for trouble. In the corporate world, in the business world, they actually pay you more money as you go up the ladder with more responsibility. A general manager makes more than a supervisor. They are paying you for conflict. It is not enough just to have your degrees, but they are paying you to manage conflicts, to manage pressures, to manage struggles. To whom much is given, much is required. All of us are leaders in some way. Whether you're leading a community, a family, or even leading yourself. Sometimes it's difficult to get yourself to act right, isn't it? As you go up levels of leadership, we begin to embrace more pressures and more problems. New levels bring new devils. New challenges, new opportunities. When you say, I cannot take this anymore, and I don't want anymore, what you're actually saying, I don't want to go any higher. You're rejecting the call to move forward, because moving forward and moving up means more problems. In fact, the problems you are dealing with now may mean you're in training for the next level of leadership. If you don't let it break you, and you don't get cold feet and master the situation, and refuse to be intimidated, and learn how to manage the stress on the next level, then doors begin to swing open. There's a magical thing about life. You know, when you go to the supermarket or some malls, and you stand at a certain spot in close proximity, the door swing open. When you can stand on a certain level of life and deal with the opposition and take a licking and keep on ticking, it might have stressed you out, and you might have felt the pressure, right? And if you don't break, then the doors will magically swing open. How many of us have reached so close, but we have given up just before that magical moment of the door swinging open? When you start to talk about conflict, not all the conflict is external, but most of it is internal. And this is where I'm going to just reflect on this for a few minutes. Because when you're moving from back there and you start moving up, and every step you make takes you to a different level and move you further and further, sometimes life is moving faster than your mentality. You can have the best you dream about, the position you want, the status you want, and everything move up except the perception of yourself. We at some point will realize that movement in life is not an elevator, but a step-by-step process. So many people attempt to move in rapid process. They want to move from midnight to morning, from the basement to the presidential suite in one step. That's not what you want. You don't want to take the elevator, because if you do, you'll get it too fast and you can't handle it. I know you want the money, but you can't handle the pressure, the problems, the conflicts, the criticisms, and the opposition. So God has designed life that we move step by step. Every time you take a step, you kind of balance yourself and get used to that level of opposition, this level of controversy and conflicts and criticisms. After all, they are paying you to manage trouble. And as soon as you get that down pat, you move again, and everything just changes again. And you have to start all over again. So this is the context. It's like you want to get pregnant. You want the baby, but you don't want the stretch marks. It comes with a package. Right, Brother Harold? I know I can't trouble my brethren. Several times, people are jealous of you and envious of you and are fighting you, and they don't understand that you still perceive yourself as if where you first started. If you stop murmuring and complaining, you will cancel out the delay and move to the next level. John Quincy Adams said, he defined leadership: if your action inspire others, remember we're talking about inspiration, to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, then you're a leader. You don't need a title. You don't have to have an office. You don't have to have recognition. Let's consider some unspoken things that hold back leaders. Your gift can take you places that your mind isn't ready for, your character is not ready for, and that your self-perception is not ready for. And you'll reject the blessings and say, just leave me alone. The whole problem is about fear. Fear of the next level, fear of taking the lead, fear of going forward. This has crippled a lot of us. There are two dimensions of fear. The first is the fear of failure. Many people don't go as far as they should because they have apprehension that they won't reach their goal. So rather than trying and failing, they say, I am going to stay down here and I'm not trying because I may lose. And I don't want to do anything that I might lose. I don't want to get married. I might get divorced. I don't want to do anything. And the question is, have you given yourself permission to succeed? Or are you so intimidated by the fear of failure that you don't try? The other side of fear is the fear of success. Being afraid that you'll reach your goal, but some disaster may result. These are mixed emotions. I don't want the stuff that comes with a package. But you know what? It's all a package deal. I'm just going to stay here. Let me just quickly point out 6 irrational beliefs that may be hindering you from moving up. And this is all I'm going to say to you. 6 irrational beliefs. The first is undeserving. I do not deserve the good measure that flows through success. I just can't see myself as being in this position. This often comes from things people have said to you or said about you. They have convinced you and they have programmed you to see yourself in a limited parameter. So when you see opportunities beyond how you have been programmed, you reject it because you don't feel as if you're deserving of it. How many of us suffer from this? The second point is ordinary, being ordinary. I don't want to stand apart or be different. I just want to fit in. You'll be surprised the number of people who have a belief system, who have believed that they are ordinary and will not take the lead. I'm afraid that I'll become a target. And yes, you'll become a target if you take the lead. But just because they are shooting at you does not mean they have shot you. And many of us should be happy that somebody have emptied their quiver of arrows and we're still standing. We have to learn to pass through the arrows. The third point is social change. Social change. I fear rejection, loneliness, or the claims that I've changed or sell out. I don't want to be rejected by my sociological environment. This will affect many minority groups. For example, went in this country to rent a car and somebody came and said, you know, you rent for me because I'm the only black owner in this country. Watch out for the wheeze. Because people will control you with the wheeze, and you may miss your opportunity at what may have been the best deal for you. Trying to be loyal to the wheeze is what we teach our children about peer pressure. But how many of us still suffer from it? All of a sudden, in order to fit into your environment, you pass the promotion. You don't want to buy a house because that may have been the best deal for you because it means you'd have to move out of the neighborhood. You don't want to move up because your friends won't like you, because you will be managing your friends who you used to run with. In order to fit in, you're going to stay at your current level because people sitting beside you, you want them to like you. How many of us suffer from this? We don't want to be a sellout. The fourth point is fleeting. Fleeting. My success will be temporal. I will not be able to sustain it. You may develop performance anxieties. You're afraid it won't last. I don't want to go out on a date because you're going to start a relationship and it may not last. I am not going to take this position because if I take the position, I may not keep the job. You have a fear that your blessing is fleeting. And the fifth point is perfectionism. Perfectionism. I will have to behave as if I'm perfect all the time, and I'm not. I know that I have got imperfection, and I don't want to get into the light because somebody might see them. So I'm going to be secretly talented. I'm going to leave the company. I'm going to stay home and say what somebody ought to say or say what they ought to do. I lock my treasures inside of me because I am imprisoned by my imperfections. And I don't want anybody to know that I'm not perfect. I am more concerned about the security of my reputation than my progress. This affected so many of us. I am not going to get involved in a relationship because if he gets too close to me, if she gets too close to me, they will see that I'm not perfect. It may be my physical imperfections. You don't give another person a chance to accept you because you have already criticized yourself. You'll be surprised to see the number of people who talk other people out of loving them. Oh no, don't look at me. Oh no. You don't want to move up in the next position because you have got issues. Newsflash. Everybody got junk in the trunk. And the final point is besiegement. I'll be besieged by others wanting things from me. My loved ones will feel entitled. I don't want the stress that comes with this. Don't give me the power of attorney because I don't want to deal with my sisters and brothers. Right, Mr. Holmes? If I become the manager of the department, my friends won't invite me out anymore. You're afraid they are going to demand things from you as you go up. There are a great deal of people who associate with you because of where you are and not because of who you are. People start fighting over your success. Check the superstars like Usain Bolt. If you are the first in your family to achieve a university education, some people, sometimes pressures are so great. Some people fear will forfeit the success and stay down. The inability to manage these fears creates self-sabotaging actions, as you cannot manage the pressure on this level and make you a chronic underachiever. And when you start to go higher, you yourself do things unconsciously to self-sabotage because you like the daylight me syndrome. Have you given yourself permission to go forward, to cancel out your opportunity, which is what we have done a lot of times? Internal conflicts have done so much damage to us that we cannot move forward to create space for others to move. You cannot follow a leader who is standing. In closing, disruptive leadership is like a contact sport. It cannot be played from the textbook or the luxury of your mind. It's about relationship more than giving instruction. A good sailor will not attempt to fight the wind, but adjust the sails to take advantage. Charles Darwin said, "It is not the strongest of species that survive, but the most adaptable. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality. The words from Martin Luther King. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you.
Thank you so much for those very encouraging words, Professor. I now ask you to welcome very warmly for us the Minister, Dr. Horace Chang.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Ms. Vara, the Chief Executive Officer of the JBDC, my good friend of long standing, sir. I was their sister only yesterday, it's a family affair with the Vara, the family. Right. Professor Pinnock from the CMU, of course, Ms. Collings from the Ministry, and I think it was Waters? Horace, sorry. Sorry. Good morning to the attended members. Good morning to you again. I'm somewhat tired, but I'm not exhausted. Success always energizes, and I suspect part of why I hear this morning is that looking at employee engagement is how to ensure that while we seek increased productivity, we'll also energize the workers and employees of our institutions, our own selves, as we look at developing our business, our profession as we proceed. So I must begin this one by congratulating the Jamaica Business Development Corporation and their partners, the University of the West Indies, for conceptualizing and hosting such a timely conference, Employee Engagement Conference. We acknowledge the rapidly changing business environment. It is important to have a dialogue that shares international best practice while exploring the challenges and opportunities in our Jamaican reality. I like that particular sentence because oftentimes we tend as a people to copy a lot of things. In politics, in business, and pretty much everything in life, we like to look north and say that is better because it happens to come from there. As a country, we have many aspects of our life that really can be treasured and are valuable, but we tend to treat them like samples most time. The government recognizes that the engagement of a vibrant and productive workforce is critical to the overall development and growth of the Jamaican economy. We believe that when we have motivated employees who are properly engaged according to their professional strengths and natural talent, the result is a win-win for not only business entity, but for the Jamaican economy. As this conference considers how we engage employees to achieve optimal business results in the workplace, the conversation must consider how the expansion of new media technologies and global thought trends have provided the millennial generation with options outside of the traditional workforce. As a result, employers will have to adjust their recruitment strategies to present a competitive option to this generation. To offer the highest salary alone will not win over this current workforce. Management of talent will have to consider corporate culture the selling point for recruitment and retention. In our Jamaican context, there is a rapid increase in the rise of the entrepreneurial spirit as more youth now see a clear path to self-actualization through their own enterprise or with companies whose values are not only focused on profit, but are focused on morally sound environmental practices, diversity, sustainability, and work-life balance. There's a former Minister of Industry and Commerce who had a very comment at the time. It might have been very popular, but it was late Bob Lightburn who said all Jamaicans are capitalists at heart, even at the time when the ideological divides were very strong. But what he was basically saying is what we've said here in a bit more classical terms. Jamaicans are by nature entrepreneurial. Ours by youth in the inner city will say to me, that boss, we're all feisty because we like to be individuals and have our own way. That's the Jamaican spirit. Government agencies such as the JBDC and JAMPRO, as well as Jamaican Intellectual Property Office, JIPO, have worked to empower our talented youth to pursue small business development, expand cottage industries, and formalize backroom business. Recognizing that the kind of enterprising spirit must be supported, this administration has sought to prepare the workforce with industry-specific skills to meet the current demands, and therefore allow me to highlight a few of those activities. Through HEART, we have created new and specific curriculum that addresses the employment needs in new growth sectors such as business process outsourcing, the tourism sector, and of course, small business development, logistics, and others. We have trained hundreds of young people in this area, and the whole program, of course, is geared to begin to expand that process. We have also recognized that access to financing is critical to the establishment of a business. For this reason, the Development Bank of Jamaica was approved as a lending agency under Jamaica's Banking Services Act. This has allowed for a reduction in the risk rating for commercial bank loans guaranteed by DBJ's Credit Enhancement Fund from 100% to 20%. The Development Bank of Jamaica estimates that an additional $6 billion will be available, that's Jamaican dollars, for lending to the MSMEs through the commercial banks. Through the introduction of the security interest in personal property registry, we have taken a policy decision to recognize non-traditional assets as collateral to access business loans. This again allows for greater cross-section of our workforce to expand and formalize their enterprise and contribute to national growth. The government realized that our framework and engagement must be specific to a Jamaican reality. We believe that we must meet our people at their strength, where difficult circumstances have caused them to become extremely resilient, creative, savvy negotiators, excellent sales and marketing strategists. Just take a walk down the Coronation Market. When employers lap into these strengths and provide enabling environments for these skills, the result will again is a win for the employer and for the Jamaican economy. Current trends indicate that sustainability and the creation of a positive work environment have to be part of the recruitment negotiation. Top talent will not remain in a space where they do not feel valued or where the environment is toxic. Research advises that top talent will leave and take a low-paying job in exchange for a positive work environment that values their contribution. It is our hope that as the dynamics of our workforce changes, and indeed as the dynamics of globalization bring our market closer together, that our business will adapt and take advantage of the opportunities inherent in this change. We have to, in fact, skip what the traditional economists speak of, the industrial age, and move into the modern information age. As we make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, and raise families, and do business, let us not necessarily seek to sing a new song. Rather, let's learn that rhythm that moves our people and dance together to advance the welfare and prosperity of our nation and indeed our region. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish for you a very productive conference and a successful day at this event. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is bringing us to the close of the opening ceremony for the JBDC Employee Engagement Conference 2017. First time. We're going to hashtag it. I'll soon give you them later. Now, I just want us to take a moment again to recognize and show our appreciation for all our distinguished guests who made presentations just now, starting with Ms. Andrene Collings, Professor Pinnock, the Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, our very own Ms. V, and for that very moving opening prayer from Dr. Patricia Horace. Thank you all so very much, and I now pronounce this conference officially open. You may now take your seats and participate in the conference.